Thank you very much, Mr. Ruben, for joining Faber Infinite in this series that we have on Africa Industrialization Day. And to begin with, can you please tell us about yourself? I'm sure our audience would surely want to know about your professional journey so far. What's your story?
Thank you, Flores. It's a pleasure and honor for having been invited by Faber. Just to give a brief summary about my professional journey so far, I'm basically a Bachelor of Engineering Mechanical stream. I did my education, everything in India, and I also did my post-graduation, which is Master of Business Administration, also in India. So after completing my studies in 1999 in India, so up to 2005, I was working in India in different segments, different industries. I worked for Rane Madras, which is an automotive company, and then an export trading company, and also worked in AMPs and currently it's called Reliance Nippon in the marketing area. So that's the early part of my career. And then in 2006, I got an opportunity to work in Africa. My first assignment was for 5 years in a company, in a manufacturing company in Nigeria. It is also a manufacturing company. So I worked there as the unit head, general manager for about up to 2011. And from 2011 till now, it's almost 11 years I'm here in Zambia. I'm working as a CEO, director for a group of company. We are under my profile. There are about 2 manufacturing companies, the textiles and packaging. And I also look after a large-scale commercial forming entity. So that's a brief about my professional journey so far. I also have been was a vice president of Zambia Association of Manufacturers for about 4 years. Now I'm still part of the board.
Okay, so thank you for sharing that, and we really get to see the experience that you lend to the industrialization of Africa. And as a company, being one of the top manufacturing companies in Africa, can you please elaborate about StrongPack and what is the formula that keeps you ahead of the competing market trends?
Okay, so just to give a background about StrongPack. StrongPack is a polypropylene oven sack manufacturing company. So the company started its journey way back in 2008. At that time, it started with a small production capacity of about 500 metric tons with just about 25 people and with an investment of $500,000. Now, the StrongPack is a company which has a production capacity, annual production capacity of 7,500 metric tons, directly employing about 600 people, and with a capex investment of close to $30 million US. So it's a very successful journey for StrongPack. And if you ask what is the formula for the success, a few things can be told. One of the things which is StrongPack, in StrongPack we did is looking at what is the differentiation we can bring into our customers or the market that we are going to serve. Differentiation in the sense, what will make them to see more value addition in terms of the products and the services that we offer. So this is the thought which will determine what kind of technology we are going to use, what machinery we are going to bring in, what are all the factors of inputs of production. You know, the manufacturing has got a lot of inputs of production which has to be decided. So all those things are based on customer-oriented approach. And also StrongPack is a company which is very strictly adhering to the good manufacturing practices. So in terms of the continuous improvement, in terms of the value-adding innovations, all customer-centric. This is what has made StrongPack what it is today.
Well, thank you very much for that. And it's really good to see practically how having a customer-focused approach has contributed to the growth. And I'm sure that our viewers will be borrowing some of those ideas. So as we celebrate Africa Industrialization Day, we'd be glad to hear from you about your thoughts on the manufacturing industry and its contribution to the economic growth of Africa. what do you think should be the recipe for future growth?
Okay, Flores, thanks for asking this question. I'm a big advocate of manufacturing in Africa because if you look at our continent, Africa, there's got a huge potential in the industrialization and manufacturing in particular. You might have heard about the recent free trade agreement, African continental trade agreement. It's a very brilliant attempt being made in, similar to how the European Union is functioning. So this, Africa, as a total, it has about 1.3 billion of population. If you combine all the African economies, it has got a GDP of close to about 3.7 trillion, which is a big figure. So when it comes to manufacturing, you need numbers, you need a bigger market for the manufacturing to be feasible. So these numbers are not small numbers, meaning Africa as a region has got the potential of the market. African countries should produce what they consume. They should not look at importing the products. So the opportunity for doing that is there. If you take any country, for example, if you take the GDP of a country, and the manufacturing sector's contribution to the GDP is substantial. If you take China, for instance, the manufacturing there contribute 27% of their GDP. And in terms of the employment also, it's almost 20% of the employed Chinese are employed in manufacturing. You take Europe, for instance, a similar story, may not be up to Chinese level, but about 16-17% of the GDP is from the manufacturing. Singapore, for instance, about 22% is coming from the manufacturing. But even India, about 16% comes from manufacturing, and also it does employ about 15% of the people, employed people are in the manufacturing. But if you compare Africa, the contribution of manufacturing to the total GDP as an African economy, African GDP as a whole, will not be more than 10%. Probably exceptions of few developed manufacturing countries, the percentage is much lower than 10%. So that shows manufacturing has got a huge potential to grow. And not only that, Africa also has got a lot of wealth commodities which are actually exported in raw form to other parts of the world. So one can easily identify what product can be made efficiently. So it's not only for what we need as a consumption, it's also for what we can also become producers for the world in some of the products where we have advantages. So in that sense, Africa has got a very great potential, but the question now comes how to actualize it. That is where it's very important. In my experience, if I have to give an advice to my fellow manufacturers, the few things that we should be looking at is, African manufacturers should look at, when they set up a manufacturing plant, they should look at how to do it in a globally competitive way, not to settle for a mediocre way of doing things, whether it is a selection of the machinery or employing the techniques. We should go for what is the right way. Yeah, okay. Of course, it has to in a feasible way, in a globally competitive way. When we do that, people will have liking for the African products, because it's a very unfortunate fact that people in Africa, they don't give that kind of value to the goods which are manufactured in Africa. They first look for, okay, this goods is coming from outside Africa, maybe it's more reliable. That has to change. How it will change, and the manufacturers play a very key role in that. Now, in terms of also, many of the challenges which manufacturers always say about challenging environment we are facing in terms of the policies, taxes, the answer is very simple. We have to engage with all the stakeholders, including the government. whether it is the policy matters, taxation matters, infrastructure, energy, road. Governments, they need employment, and manufacturing sector is one of the key employment sector. So when we present the details in the right way, this is possible. And if all the stakeholders, including the manufacturers, work together, I strongly feel Africa has got a potential to grow its manufacturing, which will be a great contributor for the industrialization of Africa.
Indeed, the potential is unlimited, and it is up to us and all the stakeholders involved to, plug in and do what it takes. Earlier on, you mentioned that one of the keys to your success in terms of growth was operational excellence. And I just want to talk a little bit about that. So, operational excellence is a crucial part of driving the industrialization journey of any country, and in this case, for the continent of Africa. Can you share some insights or initiatives taken by Strongpack Products on the optimum utilization of resources and enhancing the capabilities of your employees?
Yeah. Yes, Flores. So that's very important. Operational excellence is a very key for our success here in Strongpack and also the other manufacturing companies that we manage. To give some insights about what we do here in Strongpack, operational excellence has got three main components. One is the productivity component, which is the performance, how to maximize the performance of the machinery, your man, material, all the production parameters. Then you comes the availability factor, especially to minimize the downtime of your assets, your machinery, and then to minimize the wastage and to make sure the quality is produced. So these are the three key factors. Each of these three key factors, the operational excellence plays a very vital role. So what we have experienced is operational excellence approach, the good manufacturing practices, the Kaizen techniques. It helps look at the issues in a very scientific way, in a data-driven way, so that which then gives the insights of how to approach each of these parameters. For instance, if you have a productivity issue, you have a machinery constraint, it's a production constraint in a particular machinery, you just go and do a study, your time study, your data analysis and everything, and see how this bottleneck can be overcome by either modifying our process, our methodology, or maybe little modifications on the machinery, rather than just looking at getting an additional machinery. You have to understand getting an additional machinery, meaning you are actually going for more resources. So the existing resources has to be fully utilized before we go for that. And this will improve the efficiency of the company. Not only that, we'll be able to serve the customers better with a less cost. So this is a very important thing. In addition to that, we do training of manpower in a very scientific manner, training within industry, and continuous training is part of our operational excellence. And then of late, we are also now employing the digital technologies in our plant, whether it is monitoring of the plant parameters, KPIs, which is also proved to be very helpful. So you can have a on-time, real-time data of how the plant is performing in terms of its productivity, wastage, and other parameters, and take decisions. Now, this kind of approach of training the manpower and giving them the real-time data will also empower the plant, at the level, at the ground level, people to take the right decisions at the right time. So these are some of the things which we have experienced Strongpack, and we have also got recognition for some of our projects at the national level and also even at the international level. So it is a truly beneficial journey for all the stakeholders. So this is something which I would strongly recommend my fellow manufacturers. It's good that many of the manufacturers in Africa are now realizing the potential of the operational excellence, and I'm very confident more and more manufacturers are going to follow the path.
So thank you for that, and just creating the picture of what it takes, and with all the resources that you have at hand and operationalizing them in an excellent manner. So as we close, is there anything you'd like to say as a parting shot?
No, I just I'm very confident. I'm looking forward for more and more African manufacturers to come out successfully. And I am very confident, I'm very optimistic that Africa has got a great future in terms of the manufacturing. I would encourage the fellow manufacturers towards that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ruben, for spending time with us as we celebrate African Industrialization Day. And I am sure that our viewers have learned from your insights and are also inspired. So on behalf of Faber Infinite and all our partners and patrons, thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you.